In the early 1950s and 60s, a sports writer from San Jose described the phenomenal success of San Jose State coaches and athletes in track and field and cross country. He called them
This is the hottest 200-meter field ever assembled at the Olympic Games. Second attempt now to get them all. Peter Norman did get a good start, I thought. Smith is doing well. His leg seems to be standing up okay. Look at Carlos go in the center of the field, and Questad is not beaten by any means. Peter Norman running beautifully, and he's got them heading into the 100 meters. Peter Norman is flying on the outside. Here comes Eigenherr of West Germany. He's a threat. So too is the Trinidadian Roberts. In the center of the field is Tommy Smith running through. Peter Norman runs a plate. Smith, full muscle and all, couldn't have pulled it that badly. He beat John Carlos. And Peter Norman could have run a second place.
In 2005, this statue was unveiled at San Jose State University, designed by artist Rigo 23, depicting Tommy Smith and John Carlos' win in the 1968 Olympics. After their win, Tommy Smith and John Carlos took part in a silent protest that was seen around the world. These athletes and their coaches were considered to be ethnically diverse, and despite incidences of extreme racism, the San Jose State University track team was considered to be one of the best in the world. What happened? Why does San Jose State University not have an official track team? Will we ever see an official track team return to San Jose State University?
So I approached Tino Hardy, who's a member of the newly formed Track and Field Club.
Well, thank you for coming out today, Tino. It's great to get an opportunity to interview someone who's actually a member of the San Jose State University's Track and Field Club. So Tino, just to get started out here, could you give me an idea as to what got you involved in track and field in the first place?
Well, originally I was a football player, and one of my friends asked me to come out to run track with him, and I went out one day. It was hard, but I continued to come back, and eventually I enjoyed it, and now I'm running at San Jose State right now, and they don't have a track team, they have a track club, but we still continue to do the same things, and we're thankful that San Jose City allows us to use their facilities and work with their team, and they're very adjustable to us coming in to their facilities and using everything.
So Tino, once you transitioned over to San Jose State University, how did you feel about the transition and the differences in being involved in a club now rather than a team sport?
Well, I feel kind of distant as we're not really a part of San Jose State, even though we're a track club. We feel that we should get a little bit more recognition, and through, us running in facilities, running through invitationals and stuff, I feel like we're getting more put on the map and we're getting more exposure, and eventually we will, try to improve and have a track. Eventually we will have a track team, hopefully in the near future. It's kind of sad to see that the track, actual track on South Campus is going to get destroyed and reassembled, and I don't know what they're going to do, what their plans are. They might turn into another facility for something else or not. But based on our legacy and San Jose State's legacy, it's unfortunate for them to be bringing it down and not having a definite plan that San Jose's of implementing another track.
It's interesting you put it that way, Tino, because I'd like to know how you feel about the direction of the club with the plans to dismantle our track here at South Campus and your continuing use of the community college track rather than the building of a new one here for you.
Well, it's kind of the same thing that we're doing now, where we're training at San Jose City College, and we're trying to spread the word that we still have a track club and it's doing well, even though our funding is not there. We're getting minimum funding, but at the same time we still have a track club, and we have athletes and students who are still passionate about track and still want to continue to run track, whether they came from high school or they transferred here from another college. And eventually, through our efforts, through fundraising and put in exposure and doing well in meets, we want to reinstate our track club.
This is Dr. Shirley Rickey, Chair of the San Jose State University Kinesiology Department. Well, thank you for giving us some time this afternoon, Dr. Rickey.
Welcome.
And now, first, before we begin, could you give us some of your history and your training and background and how you came to be at San Jose State University?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I should say that I hated history in high school, and I hated it because I had a teacher who was extremely unenthusiastic. But I got to like it primarily when I was an undergraduate and I took some classes in sport history. Then I did a master's degree and I did quite a lot of sport history there and discovered that I really did enjoy it very much. And then I taught in the UK for 3 years, and then I thought I really wanted to know more about different countries firsthand. So I went to the Ohio State University and did a PhD there, and the subject was sport history. I wrote my dissertation on the history of sport and recreation for women in Great Britain from 1700 to 1850, which you might think would be a slim volume, but actually women were doing a lot of things before the Victorian era, and then their ability to do things declined because of the social situation. So that's my background in sport history. How did I get here? Is that in 1982, when I graduated from Ohio State, I was going to go back to the UK. It was an economic situation a little bit like now. There were not very many jobs, so my advisor suggested, why don't you look for a job in the US? So I saw the position at San Jose State, and I knew only one thing about San Jose State, and that was that John Carlos, Tommy Smith and John Carlos had attended there. That was the one thing I knew. And I thought it would be kind of fun to go to California for a year. It was a 1-year appointment. And so I applied, got the job, and I guess the rest literally is history. I think it's important to say that the one thing I knew about San Jose State, you can all get your calculators out, but I was 15 in 1968. And I remember most distinctly watching the Mexico City Olympics on television in Britain and seeing, I think live, but I can't swear to that, but certainly seeing the protest and saying to my mother at the time, why are they doing that? Or I wonder why they're doing that. And I remember her saying something to the effect that, well, she thought maybe from what she'd read in newspapers that they thought that they weren't being treated very fairly, and that's really all I knew about it. I was completely removed from really what was going on in the US at the time, being 15, and it wasn't my country, but that's all I knew. Having gone to quite a lot of other places around the world, we were just talking about my having had a sabbatical in Kenya. As soon as I say whether I'm in Kenya or China or Kuwait or, almost anywhere I've been, as soon as you say San Jose State, they say, Tommy Smith, John Carlos. That is the one thing that this university is known for. And I think that's pretty important.
It's interesting that you bring up that one of the main reasons that you knew about San Jose State University was due to Smith and Carlos and their accomplishments and actions. Because as a whole, most of the student body at San Jose State University doesn't seem to be very aware of what actually took place in the 1968 Olympics. Why do you think that might be?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, as you may know, I taught the undergraduate sport history class for the first 25 years that I was here. And when I first started talking about it, and I did my very first semester in 1982, there was not a single student in the class who had ever heard of Tommy Smith or John Carlos, or who knew anything